I think I just starts the recordings, Paul.
You know what's so interesting to me, Mar, about this whole I remember back not too long ago, in the not so distant past, when the kids were off for a week of school, it was like complete culture shock. But seeing as though none of our kids have actually gone to school this year, like them being on break is just another day. It's just whatever, man. Just go ahead, do what you're gonna do. Sleep in. That's all they have to do. The day is exactly the same. They just get to sleep in. It's the only difference nowadays.
Yeah, but then there's technically no snow days ever.
No, I my kids got one. I was shocked. I was like, "Wait, you're really gonna call a snow day in on this?" Like, I know it's snowing outside, but they're all supposed to be virtual today, right? Like, you.
We can't. We have a snow day. You can't.
I was just
I
waiting
can't turn
for
my
the.
computer on.
I was just waiting for the email to come of the Geico commercial of like the old man with the fishing line. It says snow day on the other day. He's like, "Oh, you gotta be quicker than that." Oh. That's what I was waiting for. Hashtag Sports is proud to partner with Mr. Rogers Homes. Sean Rogers is a proud Western New Yorker and is now your Arizona relocation specialist. You can see his reviews as a top 1% agent on Zillow, Homes, and Trulia.com. Go ahead and download his free Arizona relocation guide found in the description of this video. Subscribe to his YouTube channel, and, as Sean would say, God bless America and go Bills. Speaking of last-minute changes, Mar, why don't we talk about the offensive line? Because Buffalo's got a lot of Buffalo made a lot of moves that are kind of under the radar.
Very
right?
under the radar.
Yeah, and it's I think there's a cool pattern, I think, to some of this, but I know you and I haven't talked about it, so
No.
we might see this differently because I've got one perspective and often you carry a different one, and a lot of times we find a way to meet in the middle. But I'm real curious about what you think of how this offensive line is being crafted going into the 2021 season, because we've all got a lot of complaints. The running game was really rough. There were times where Josh was well protected and other times where Josh was running for his life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what about this offensive line are they changing with their new approach into 2021? Because I say new approach because I think you and I both want to have the conversation of how things are actually different, because you look at the line, you're like, well, they're re-signing everybody. It's the exact same line, but I do think it's different. I don't think it's the same.
As far as the line goes, obviously we like you were right. We had some complaints about it as far as protection issues and what was going to happen with the offensive line. And you know what, Paul, you're right. We do tend to meet in the middle for a lot of things, except for on April 1st. We don't really meet anywhere on April 1st. So I apologize.
You got me.
No, I just want to apologize to all the followers that were blowing up the comment section and just totally giving you a hard time going, they thought it was 420, not 41.
Maybe we'll get Josh Gordon on. Maybe we'll call Josh Gordon, see what he's doing.
Oh, God. Why? Why
if you got him.
Why must you do this to me? I know we have an LLC, Paul, but you don't need to test it. Yeah, as far as the offensive line goes, I thought one signing the two signings that they had, obviously, we're referencing are the Bobby Hart and the Jamil Douglas. I thought were so underrated for two different reasons. Number one, the Bobby Hart signing, you get a guy who's a tackle who started 66 games. In the past 3 years, the guy has started 93% of the offensive snaps. Mm-hmm. Those guys tend to garner a little bit more, pay this and that or attention if you have that type. True, it was with the Bengals, so that's probably why it was under the radar a little bit. But you're talking about a guy who signed a contract for, wait for it, Paul, $990,000, $137,000.5 signing bonus. Guy who has 4 accrued seasons.
Would you be able to put a card in the episode there to
right
the
here?
vested veteran?
Over
yeah,
there?
because
It's above
guys,
your head,
listen,
so.
we're talking. It's up here.
It's above your head. The other one, other side.
There we go. Click. Oh, damn it. So click that episode because we talked about vested veterans a while ago, and it really didn't get a lot of views, but it's what we expected Bean to do, right? When you
Yes.
don't have a lot of money, you have to wait for the market to come to you. And that episode said, expect guys to sign a lot of $1.1 million deals with $137,000 in bonus or less. And those guys you're going to get a credit for against your salary cap. They're not going to cost you as much. So you can build out the bottom part of your roster because the way salary cap is done, it's the top 51, right? So if you add a guy who's only counting 990,000 versus a guy that's only counting 770,000 falling off of the top 51, you're using very little cap space to sign guys, right? And that's what Buffalo's doing. They're doing it brilliantly. Brilliant.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Jacob Hollister, Isaiah McKenzie, and Bobby Hart, and I think Breida falls under that.
Matt Breida.
That window.
Breida does as well.
He doesn't have as much of a signing bonus, but it's up to 137. But you look at a lot of these guys that they're signing for this. You sign enough guys like that, the cap credits that you get for that, you could sign another player. It's like you could sign 5 players for the price of 4.
Right.
So
yeah, exactly. If you do that, it's really the bonus money that's kind of the kicker in the deal, right?
Yes.
But I mean, you do that 4 or 5 times, you're saving yourself $1 million. And in an age where $1 million is a lot of money, you know, that's you got to do it. You got to do it.
Yeah, you know what though, and it's like this, Paul. I mean, my dad used to say this all the time. When we try to go into a baseball game and we don't have tickets, we never go to games with tickets. I don't know why we never did this as children. We never went to
It's an Italian thing.
I don't know.
The power.
I don't know.
He's got to go to the window and negotiate the best seat. It's the power.
No, he didn't do that. It was you walk around and look for scalpers. But here's what he would say. He'd go, listen, wait till the national anthem starts playing. These guys will try to give these tickets away.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
You got to talk about it. From bringing this over to the discussion that we're talking about, when it gets to be almost April, March 29th, March 30th, these guys, these agents start panicking and saying, hey, there's not a lot of callers. You might want to take a 1-year prove-it deal with this team. And that may have been the scenario with Bobby Hart. But this guy, I mean, he gives you a formidable – I mean, I don't want to say an exact replacement for Ty Nsekhe because there's not really much crossover in the size of both of these guys. But Nsekhe came to the Bills with 54 career starts. Hart comes in with 66. It seems like that type of – he's played mostly at right tackle. But the point is this. You're bringing in a guy that can offer you some depth at the position because you're not really sure about Trey Adams yet.
Yeah.
You're starting to do a bunch of different things. This guy has experience in the league. Now, the most important thing about that is you don't have to waste a draft pick on that position, and you get experience. Right. The other guy that was so much more interesting to me was Jamil Douglas. Now, Douglas comes in via he was with the Tennessee Titans last, but the interesting part about him is he's taken the Ryan Fitzpatrick career path. I mean, he's played for the Dolphins. He's played for the Dolphins, Patriots, Falcons, Colts, Tennessee. Now he's with the Buffalo Bills.
Right.
That is not the interesting point about him. The interesting point about him is that he was a 4th-round draft pick in
by whom?
2015.
Yep. We're on the same page, right?
You know where I'm going.
We're the 4th-round draft pick for 2015. By whom? By whom?
Let me preface this by saying that this team that drafted him in the 4th round did not have a 3rd-round pick and used their 2nd-round pick on Jordan Phillips. I'm, of course, talking about the Miami Dolphins, where at the same time when this guy was drafted, Dennis Hickey and Dennis Locke were in Miami when Jamil Douglas was drafted.
And again, for the new people, right?
God, yes.
For the new subs, relationships matter, right? And Buffalo went out and they brought in 2 guys into their front office who were former top execs in Miami. And you see this leak, right? That's where Jordan Phillips, when he was available as a street free agent, they're like, listen, we drafted this guy in the go get him. Go get him. It's going to work. It's going to work. Go get him.
Well, this is the 4th guy now.
Play out. Yeah, we've seen this play out a bunch of times. Right.
This is the 4th guy. You got Sonoris Perry, Frank Gore, Jordan Phillips. Now you got Jamil Douglas. If I'm missing a guy, that they signed from Miami, let me know, guys. But this is in a year where you haven't been able to scout properly the college ranks.
Right.
You know you have familiarity with this guy. You've drafted him before. They drafted him, so they're getting in Bean's ear saying, "Listen, nobody signed him. You can get him on a 1-year deal. This guy has started 46 games at guard. Give him a 1-year prove it deal because of what you've done with Quentin Spain. Spain came in on a 1-year deal, proved himself, got a 3-year contract. This may be the path and he came from Tennessee as well.
Yeah, right. Well, this was, if you take a look at it, right, the nice thing about Douglas is he also gives you versatility.
Yes.
Because he can play center.
Yes.
These are the types of players you need to add at this time of the season, right? You need to add a guy who can play multiple positions. These are the guys that are available. These are the guys you want because you brought up Quentin Spain. I want to just back the train up a little bit, right? So everybody lost their mind when the Bills released Spain. We didn't understand it.
We did too, though. Yeah, let's put ourselves in there.
Yeah, we did. You're right. You're absolutely right. And when you take a look at the tango they were playing, you didn't have an off season, right? You didn't have preseason games. And whatever that experience was in the offensive line room, Spain didn't take it well, right? I don't know what was told to him. They just signed a contract extension, he just signed a 2-year deal. It wasn't a contract extension. But, it was strange to see Buffalo commit to a player and then immediately release them, right?
Yeah.
I say immediately within that same season that he signed a new deal. So I'm almost curious. You brought this up already, and I'm glad you brought up Spain. Do you have any idea what Quentin Spain signed for with the Bengals? He did re-up with the Bengals. So do you have any idea what his contract is?
I don't, but I did want to bring this point up real quick right before you get to your point. If you guys are, just to kind of backtrack a little bit on Spain, as we were talking about, he signed a 3-year, $15 million deal March 17th of 2020, and then he was released a couple games into the season. This, I don't want to say it's an example for the rest of the team, but that should serve as an example that even if you sign with this team, it doesn't guarantee you a spot.
Yeah, you got to act right.
What did Spain sign for? I didn't look up the numbers, but I'm thinking that in the year of 1-year deals because the cap didn't go anywhere, he probably at 29. He's probably on another 1-year prove it deal. I'm guessing.
Veteran minimum with $137,000.
Stop
bonus.
It. This guy signed a 3-year, $15 million deal. Right. Now he's on a veteran minimum.
Right, and Buffalo released him, and we all lost our damn minds. But you have to ask yourself if Bean was looking at it saying, with the way this could play out, we're going to regret this contract. Let's just get out of this now. Because even if Spain played last year, you're releasing him in the offseason. He signed for veteran minimum. You should not be retaining players on your team who could sign for veteran minimum. You should not, I repeat, you should not be retaining players on your team who should be signed for veteran minimum out there in the league. You can't be doing that. That you're putting together an overpaid roster.
Are you talking about Feliciano now?
Oh, I don't think Feliciano would have signed for veteran minimum.
Okay, all right. I
don't think Feliciano on the open market signs for veteran minimum.
Yeah, I wanted to just throw that out there because if we take a look at it, you're right on your point. Like if they're going to sign for veteran minimum, you do not give them a multi-year deal, especially in the way the market is right now.
Right.
Just a point to bring up. I think it's very interesting. Douglas and Spain were both in Tennessee in 2018, and they're both 29 years old. Right. So I don't know if there are some things that maybe Spain was. You think a call might have went out? I mean, they've met.
I think. Well, I think you know how to speak that language already, right?
Yes.
Like you're already successful in bringing in a guy who had seen that system, and I would call Spain a success, right?
Yeah. Well, they signed him when he was 27 too, initially. So,
yeah, I like the Douglas signing. I think the Douglas signing makes a lot of sense. The Hart signing, I'm not so hot on. I mean, there's some plays where he looked pretty rough. Right.
I understand that.
But I mean, that's what you're going to get. You're getting a guy at veteran minimum at the tackle position. Like tackles, you pay for tackles in the NFL. So to get a guy on the veteran minimum is kind of, you're like, Okay.
So you're saying that we signed the Mitchell Trubisky of right tackles?
Well, you think we're going to get a comp pick for him when Dable leaves? Is that what you're trying to tell me? You're telling me this is the road we're going to go down? I don't know about that, Mar. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm telling you.
to put context around this whole conversation, right? The Hart signing you signed because it's always smart to add tackles.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
It's always smart. But again, he's veteran minimum. You signed Jamil Douglas because signing a guard at league minimum versus signing a tackle at league minimum, you're getting you have two levels of expectations that are just different there. Yes. So Douglas I like because he could play all over the offensive line on the interior. Could play center, play both guard spots. That's fine. He's seen a bunch of different systems. Whatever, right? Had you not released Quentin Spain last year, you wouldn't have picked up Ike Butker's option because he was on the practice squad. You would have let him go and test free agency. He never would have played, right? So the release of Spain was actually, even though it caused a lot of flux as the other guard position kind of got messy with, Ford getting hurt, and you started Winters, and even though those other guard and then you lost Feliciano, even with all the turbulence that was at that position, releasing Spain allowed you to see that Butker can start for you, which, he'd been on the team for 2 years prior to that. Maybe they would have got to him at some point, right? But releasing Spain when they did allowed them to see that Butker could start for them and at least opened up the opportunity. So I think it's fascinating how, releasing Spain, I really do think that Bean looked at it and said, listen, this is going to be a future problem. Let's just fix the future problem right now. We'll just move on. He's not happy. We're going to regret this contract probably. So let's just get past this, right? And give him an opportunity to go somewhere else. That's fine. And then you go back and you look at it, and Spain signs for veteran minimum, and you pat yourself on the back and you go to sleep at night happy. And you're like, yep, I'm good with that. I feel comfortable. Yeah, I feel comfortable with that.
An interesting thing, too, just to throw it in there as we wrap this bad boy up. You start talking about market value for some of these players, some of these contracts, some of these things. The Seattle Seahawks only have 3 picks now. They had 4.
Mm-hmm.
They dealt a 5th-round pick for Gabe Jackson. So if a starting guard is garnering 5th-round value, does the veteran minimum really bother you for getting Douglas? It doesn't.
No.
So just something to ponder. The Bills do not have to, burn a draft pick now on a guard.
No.
So it's interesting to see what happens after that.